Happy Friday, the last Friday in March, and Chief Phil Lukens and I are going to put together another video around a practical use case for Copilot in policing, or frankly in any organization where you have certain types of requirements. But with that, let's bring up Copilot. And Chief, do you want to set the stage a little bit here?
Yeah, we know that data dashboards are the thing of the future. And data dashboards are going to be incredibly insightful for real-time crime centers, for driving our patrol allocation, for hotspot policing or evidence-based policing, different types of layers that you want to do with that. Problem is having small wins, and we can't get everything done at once. So what are the resources that we can use now to start utilizing what we have to be able to still get some of those results? You may not have the ability to get everything set up or have your data dashboard available, but you need a map. City Council's requested, hey, we want to know what's going on with all the burglaries in the area. We want to know what's going on with violent crime. Or we want to know whatever that is, you can plot a map. And so that's the example we're going to give you. So you're going to want to look at that. But what about a homicide case or a major organized crime ring that you're trying to follow? This would also work where you're going to be able to plot out maps, get cell phone locates or whatever, start to get some information, and you would be able to put that in your report, put this all together, and it will give you a plot. So practically speaking, your records management system is going to have some sort of data that you're going to be able to export into a JSON file or something like that, or Excel file. And you're going to be able to take that data and then massage it to be able to get the results that you want. And it's not much massaging. And Dave's going to show us right here what that is. But it becomes very easy to say, all of a sudden somebody's like, well, we want to know what's happening with all the burglaries in the city. And you're like, man, I have 4 hours to a city council meeting. We need to get this figured out. You can literally go in, get your burglary data out of your RMS, export it, and then start the plot. So Dave, why don't you take it from there and show us what you did with some public data that was available?
Yeah, sure. So this is crime incident data from January 1 through about mid to early March out of DC. It's about 5,000 incidents, publicly available information from open data. Downloaded it. I didn't do anything else with it. I didn't clean it. The data isn't actually in very good shape. Not a lot of blanks and empty data rows or anything like that that could cause hiccups in normal processes. The only thing I really looked at was just kind of looked at the headers so I could understand the data a little bit. So when I created my prompt, I could put in maybe specific information that I wanted rather than leaving it all up to the process of Copilot. So ward was one of them. So that's like ward and district. It's just a way that they break down particular areas even into blocks and neighborhoods. But I just picked ward. Seemed like an interesting thing to use. You could use any bit of that data you want. But and you also will notice that it has latitude and longitude. It doesn't have to be lat long. It could be addresses. You would then have to have a geoprocessor that would geocoding service that would geocode it, because lat long is really how things all plot out on a map in the same place regardless of the projections, etc. that you're using. So anyway, that's a little bit about the data. So then what did we do? So I've saved some prompts, and so this is also to show you kind of how you can do that. So I hit this little button down here that looks like, some sort of magic over a document, and it brings up prompts that Microsoft has already built out, and there's actually a whole catalog of these, and we'll show you more of those in another video. We're actually building out some internally that will end up in the product so that you will have them aligned to your profession as a start point, just to help people. And then you can save your prompts. So as you create prompts that you think work really well, you can save those, and then you can use them over and over again. So this is the prompt that I'm going to use.
And I'm going to pause it just for a second, Dave,
yeah, sure.
because understanding the prompt is everything. And the way you put this in matters. And so having this resource to be able to massage your prompts and know exactly what you're getting. So every time you're trying to get these types of reports, you get what you're looking for, and you start to do little variations of your prompts, and you might very well notice quickly, I'm not getting what I got last time. So this is really, really important that you're getting that information and saving the prompt the way you want it, so that way you get the desired result time and time again. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's a great point, and I would just follow up on it and say this morning I was working on this a little bit in preparation for this recording, and I made a little change to my prompt. You would have seen that I had 2 saved prompts. I made a little change and I got a different output, and I wasn't really happy with it. So the point of that is, and I think what Chief just said is, 1, save them, 2, tweak them. And so think about this just like you would with, questioning somebody or, talking to anybody. If you ask a question and it doesn't really get the response or answer that you thought you were going to get, or it's a little in the different line of reasoning, you ask the question again. And so same thing with prompts, right? Don't get frustrated. If all of a sudden you don't get it, look at what you have, understand how you're asking the question, and then go back and massage that and save it until you get to those ones that are really replicable and really produce the results that you're looking for. And I think it's a great point, Chief. So thank you for making it. Now you'll notice here, this says crime incident data. So this is the file, but this file here isn't a link. And so normally I would save these with just brackets saying, input your data here so that you would know to go do that. But in this case, I'm just going to delete that out. And then I'm going to go back and re-add my file. So this is my crime incident data file that I showed earlier. Put it in there. Sometimes it'll take a second, so don't just click the arrow right away. You saw that little flash right there. Well, that's it loading and running it through the process. So it's depending on the speed of your computer and all that, it could take a second or 2. So now that data's in there, I can hit run and let's see what we get. Fingers crossed, everyone, because I hate redoing videos.
There you go. Here it comes. It's thinking.
It's
going to
thinking.
put it out. It's going to be so beautiful when you see this wonderful map. You're like, wow, it's amazing that this thing can do this in a few seconds, and I don't have to sit and work on a major project or try and get a new piece of software. This is something that I already have that now I can really make tangible when I'm giving a presentation. This is going to be later for a presentation for court on a case, or like I said, also for city council questions or neighborhood meeting, anything like that, where people have questions and they want to know. You can get this data, your data, look at it and say, look what we have, and what are the results from it, which I think are very, very valuable. And you're going to see this time and again. It's going to be, like we were talking earlier, detectives are going to be using this just as much as an administrator would be using this, just in different facets. And I think that's pretty tremendous. So we have something here.
We do. So before I click on it, I'll talk a little bit about the prompt, right? So HTML, hypertext markup language, it's going to create something that'll run in a browser. So I said, I want you to do that. I want it to be a map. I want you to reference this document to create the map. And then I gave it some additional instructions that pins should be different color based on crime type. And if there's multiple pins close together, they should be consolidated and a number put there saying, there's 25 here. And then as you zoom in, those should break apart, which is kind of a normal process in geospatial systems. And then when you hover over a particular pin, it should give you a subset of data. In this case, I said crime type, ward, and the start date, because there was a start date and end date. And then clicking on the pin should give you a full summary. So think of all the headers across that data that I showed, giving you a full summary of everything that's under that pin, if you will, the underlying data. And I also said, I'd like you to produce shape files. So standard files that are used in like ESRI or ISRI's mapping services. Other services will take it as well. But just, you could use keyhole markup language as well if you're using like Google Maps or something. But let's look and see what we got.
And before he says anything, we're going to make a copy of this. It'll be down in the comments. So that way you can actually have a copy of that code. So not the code, the prompt. So that way you can just, follow how that goes.
And I'll put the data file up there too if we'd like, and that way people don't even have to go look for it. They can just replicate. So let's open it up. As you saw, that opened up, looked like a web page. And You can see where I had already opened it earlier today, but we'll just click off of that one. So I've got this nice box of the Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland area here in Washington, D.C. And I've got these 5,000, almost 5,000 incidents. And you'll notice that there are these hot spots, right? There's this area here, whatever that perimeter is being defined, it's either the ward or the district, something like that, or the jurisdiction. 294 events, etc. And then as I start to zoom in, they will start to break out based on the altitude that I'm viewing the map at, and breaking them apart until I get to the point where I start to get individual pins that show up for individual items. And you'll notice that they're in different colors. And if I was going to do this over again, I would go back and say, also include a legend that tells me what type of crime is under what color pin. So there's a way to tweak that. So it looks like blue, theft other. This is in Ward 2, started on January 5th at about 7:48 p.m. This one here is an auto theft that took place at 2:35 in the afternoon on the 8th of February. So now I have my map data, and then I can click on it and I get that full readout, right? So now I get the row essentially with the header information for that one bit of data across that. Anybody who would care to use this and works with Excel or JSON would understand what that is, so I won't belabor the point. But pretty quickly, we have a map, and as Chief was referencing earlier, you could get to a very sophisticated prompt, or even using something like agents, which we'll provide some videos about agents in the near future, where you could go across an entire file with different file types, both structured and unstructured, pulling out all of the date time groups associated with location, and build out a map with a timeline. So Chief, anything else that you want to add here?
No, I just want to say, I mean, think about this. You can be grabbing screen snapshots, throwing it in a PowerPoint presentation. You can be throwing that into any other document that you may have that you're trying to provide for some sort of report. This is going to change the world. You don't have to have all these fancy things yet, data dashboard or whatever, and certain things you may never have a data dashboard on. If you work in a homicide case, you wouldn't have a data dashboard on it, but you would still be able to plot and say what has occurred. Or maybe when we're working on a very specific subset of a crime, again, it may not be in the big data dashboard that the department ultimately builds, but you would be able to have your own subset and still get the intelligence and the information that you need to be able to go forward. It's going to be valuable in court. It's going to be valuable in everyday information that is transparent to the public.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Thank you, everyone. Hope this is helpful. Please like, share, comment, and look for our next video.